Good morning, traders. I've got a story to tell you guys. Like always, we tell you guys the good and the bad. Unfortunately, today, one of those stories is more on the bad side of things. But if you want to find out, you got to stick right here on live trading. Hit that like button. I'll tell you guys just coming up.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Those words have been dancing around my head all night. Oh, it's Vegas lore, that phrase.
Going on, traders? It's always good to see you guys out there, and definitely smash the like if you guys are ready for some more live trading. Of course, we're going to get into the action. If you guys got a stock on your radar today, throw it up in the chat. Let us know why you guys are looking at it. We'll go ahead and make sure that we cover it. And of course, we got the boys here, so everybody smash the like button. We got, of course, Ryan Faluna in the house. Nick Brown's back at it. And you're still technically off, right, Nick?
No, today's my first day back.
Love to hear it, Nick. And it's always good to have you, my friend. It looks like you got a little fresh cut there. I see you.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Looking good, man. Looking good. I like it. All right. We're going to get to the stock market. But like I said, we will tell you guys a little bit about a story that happened to me yesterday and a learning lesson that maybe you guys can learn from. So stick around for that. I'll talk about that a little bit later, probably near 10 a.m. so we don't take too much of our trading preparation here. Of course, we are about making that money, right? So let's focus on that. Let's get into the action. Let's talk about the stocks right now. I'm going to take a look really quickly at some of my swing trades. I have still Deere on. I still have BJ. BJ came down pretty significantly yesterday, and I did take profits on that little pop there when we were at like kind of 65.50s. I took half off. Today, I can't let it go through my entry, and it's right there already. So if it cracks 63, I'm just going to take it all out, because what would be worse is if I stay in this position and all of a sudden it goes to 62.50s, and then I start giving up gains. And swings, I try my best to not give gains, especially if they made it to the first reward, right? If I took first reward, from that point on, my rules say break even. Why? Because at that point, I can keep my accuracy high. I don't have to stress about a winner becoming a loser. And I know about you guys out there, but that definitely ruins my mentality. And I don't like to do anything that's going to ruin my mentality in trading, right? Mental capital is actually more expensive to me than even real capital. Think about that. All right, let's go through it. Last one, I'll tell you guys, is the new position I opened up right at the close yesterday. Literally seconds off the close, which was LAC. So I'll be looking for this position to make a move to 22. I've been seeing a lot of metals and minerals starting to like kind of get ready for a nice little push. Look at all the volume that's come in LAC in the last couple of days. That tells me to keep an eye on this. It hasn't really broken out, but all this volume tells me somebody wants in, and I want to join the party with them. So we'll see what happens there, and we'll see if we get the lift. Now to kick it to my man, Ryan. And, of course, we got Nick Brown dropping some bombs, so stay tuned.
All right, so the first thing we're going to take a look at is the SPY, like we do every day. Good morning, everybody. Great to see everyone back here. Full show here today. For the SPY, first thing we're looking at is this trend line, right? We've been talking over the past couple of days about this trend line being broken to the upside. It looks today, short of a gigantic sell-off, that we are probably going to have our third close above this former resistance line, which will now be support. So in any type of back test, I would actually expect 444 to get tested, which might hold. So if we start coming back in, that first spot that we're going to look at for the broader market to hold is going to be 444 on the downside. At least it sure looks that way. Also worth noting, RSI is a little bit high here, so maybe a little bit of a break as this comes back in. That would make sense. We'll see if we end up getting that today or next week. Now, moving over to the movers tool, we'll talk about some of the different stocks that should be in play today. The first one we're going to start with is the monster from yesterday with EDTX. This, of course, was a halt fest. I think when I stopped looking at it, I counted 19 halts.
Do you have another screen up? I just want to make sure we have the right
probably.
screen up. There we go. We got it.
Yep, when you keep two versions of Pro open, you often share the wrong damn tab. Sorry about that,
No
Mitch.
worries. The chat caught it too, and so I'm glad we both
Natalie,
caught it.
thank you very much. Appreciate you guys looking out. I'm sorry about
That's
that.
what it's all about. No worries.
So really quickly then, I'm assuming you did not see the SPY chart. This is what I'm talking about, right? This 444 level, we're right above it. This should now be support, assuming we get a close candle today above this level, which so far sure looks like that's going to happen. One thing to note here is I did actually take some SQQQ in the after hours yesterday. My price is $17.55. It's currently at $17.54, so I'm down 1 penny on my 100 share starter position. We'll see what happens here today. Looking at the SQQQ, one of the things that I would say is that if we come down to this low yesterday from 1742, you can bet that I'm going to add. And if we continue to go down, I'll probably dollar cost average up to about 500 shares if it feels like maybe we should be selling off. If the market is just in complete bull mode, I'll probably get out of the way of that train and wait for it to settle or show me some type of setup where some of these short instruments might start going up. But let's take a look at some of the smaller caps that are on deck here today. And sorry, my cat is stalking my bird. Kill it. Sorry about that, folks. EDTX here. This one was the absolute monster yesterday. We're having another monster pre-market. Now, this was halted like crazy yesterday, so if we get any type of big movement, I expect that today. I also wouldn't be shocked if this is unable to really get going and starts to break down if we have multiple halts to the downside. So I am probably going to stay away from this. The last thing I need to do is ruin my good week on a Friday by trading something that is incredibly volatile. But for the rest of you out there that want to take a stab at this, just be careful. Understand what it is that you're trading. Low float, moving all over the place, probably going to be in play here again today. Next one here is going to be AIMD. Now, I didn't see any news for this. This stock was a penny stock, traded all the way up to 176. Now, we've come back in. It's leaking a little bit here as we continue to extend to the downside from the VWAP, but we'll see if this firms up. We've seen some of these other stocks do exactly this, right? They really start to leak. They really start to sell off, but then they end up bottoming, trading sideways, and give us good opportunities. Shout out to Smoke Tuna, who's been nailing or spotting a lot of those. Crow as well. Next one here is going to be ARBB. This is ARB IoT Group. I've actually never heard of this ticker here. We did pop as high as 650. Again, I don't think I saw any news on this one. Yeah, maybe it's just I didn't go through these forms, so maybe that's part of that's from April though. And I don't see any news here. We're just popping this, also leaking here. So the same plan we just talked about on AIMD. We really want to wait for those to settle to try and get a good entry as opposed to just catching a knife or guessing. Next one here is going to be PRFX, and I'm sure all of you folks remember this one. This one went bonkers a couple of days ago. We're getting a little action here in the pre-market. Now, we do still have this kind of nasty trend. So the first thing that we want to see is, does that trend get broken? Are we able to actually take out some of these consolidation areas and really start moving? PRFX, again, very, very risky. So be careful and be sure to be on top of your risk management if you're going to trade that. WAVS is on here. This was a pop and an immediate drop. Again, not sure about what this company is. Didn't really see any news here. Not really familiar with this, so kind of want to watch it trade first before I just make a decision. Nikola, I see a lot of people in the chat talking about Nikola. This is one yesterday that I opted not to take because I really don't like the company and I think it's kind of fraudy. I noticed that someone earlier said, why is Nikola even a ticker any longer? Milky, I can't tell you that. But this is an instrument that is running and we're trading up again here in the pre-market. Actually, I kind of want to check the short interest on this. 19% of the float shorted with 1.68 days to cover. It's elevated, but it's not really high. So Nikola, just kind of an interesting pattern here. Maybe this will be worth a trade. If I do take Nikola or if I do trade Nikola, this is only short term. This is the epitome of a company that I don't trust and would never consider holding overnight. We'll look at a couple more here. We did have Lunar, which is popping. It's really kind of come back in, but it hasn't come all the way back down. So let's see if this firms up and gives us an opportunity. SAI, we're getting a little bit of a pop here in the pre-market. One of the things I'd really like to see is some momentum build through the VWAP and then a move towards the pre-market high. That would be great. Plug got a $22 price target this morning. That's trading up here. Also watch FCell in connection with Plug. Those two seem to move together. And then, of course, we got the bank earnings started this morning. We had Wells Fargo reporting. We had JPM reporting. We also had Citibank reporting. So let me see if I can find that here.
Ryan, I have all those numbers.
You got all those? I was going to say, I don't have a line on these banks.
Yep.
So you know what? This is perfect. I'm going to turn it over to you, Mr. Nick.
I was going to say, all right, we can start with Citigroup. Citigroup reported most of these banks actually, Ryan, did report better than expected earnings. And it is important to note that each company or each different service that we get earnings from depends on your estimates. So estimates could vary. I think Benzinga, we get ours from Refinitiv. You could get yours from Bloomberg, from LiveSquawk. So there's a different variety of earnings, but pretty much they're all going to be the same within a cent or two. But Citigroup reported Q2 earnings. EPS came in at $1.33. Estimate was for $1.30. Revenue came in at $19.44 billion. Estimate was for like $19.28 billion. FICC sales and trading revenue came in at $3.53 billion. The estimate was for $3.51 billion. Operating expense was $13.57 billion. The estimate was for $13.55 billion. And investment banking revenue came in at $774 million. Estimate was for $671 million. Jane Fraser, the CEO, said in a statement, amid a challenging macroeconomic backdrop, we continue to see the benefits of our diversified business model and strong balance sheet. And within the last few minutes, I believe the conference call was going on, and we did get a headline basically saying that they haven't made up a decision regarding Q3 buyback. So that's going to be one to watch. If you can move to Wells Fargo, if you could put that chart up for me, Ryan, that would be great. Wells Fargo reported Q2 earnings of $1.25 for EPS. Estimate was for $1.16. Revenue came in at $20.53 billion. Estimate was for $20.13 billion. They repurchased about 100.2 million shares, or about $4 billion in Q2. Provision for credit loss came in at $1.71 billion. The estimate was for $1.55 billion. Total average deposits came in at just right in line with expectations, $1.35 trillion. Net interest income came in at $13.16 billion. Estimate was for $12.89 billion. Commercial real estate office loans were one significant contributor to that provision, according to CFO Mike Santomassimo. He said on a media call, quote, when you talk about commercial real estate, you're really talking about the office part of commercial real estate, because the rest of the commercial real estate portfolio is performing quite well. He also added, overall, the losses are still quite small. We do expect that there'll be more weakness in the market, and it's going to take a while to play out. It will be a while before we see the end of this.
I was muted. Sorry.
I was going to say, could you put the Wells Fargo chart up?
Yes.
I was going to say, I believe most of these shares are higher, and banks did pretty well. And so this is the expectation that this was a pretty good, decent earnings. You can see that chart up there, Wells Fargo taking that leg higher. If you could put JP Morgan up, earnings came in at EPS 475. Estimate was for 383. Revenue 42.4 billion. Estimate was for 39.34 billion. Provision for credit loss 2.9 billion. Estimate was for 2.62 billion. FICC sales and trading revenue 4.57 billion came in better than expectations, or I should say expectations was for 4.3 billion, and investment banking revenue 1.49 billion, and the estimate was for 1.38 billion. JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon, always making the comments, basically saying in the earnings release, U.S. economy continues to be resilient. Consumer balance sheet remains healthy. Consumers are spending a little bit more slowly. Job growth remains strong. And then within the last few minutes, we've gotten some comments from the CFO of JP Morgan, basically reiterating that it seems like the banking industry is through the worst of recent crisis. We expect net interest income run rate to be substantially lower going ahead. They also say that, basically just reiterating what Dimon says. But this report, Ryan, it is very interesting to note that Dimon basically is talking up to the economy, and he's not worrying about headwinds and all the hurricanes like he did months ago. So we are seeing some more I guess the sign that banking is good, the economy is good, despite what he said earlier. So he is walking back those comments, which is interesting. I was going to say BlackRock, if you could throw that chart up, I think their earnings was good, but I think they're sliding just a little bit, like 0.3%. Adjusted EPS of 9.28, estimate was for 8.45. Revenue 4.46 billion. Estimate came in line 4.45 billion. Did see some estimates of 4.46, 4.47, but we're going to call it a beat on top and bottom line. AUM 9.43 trillion. Estimate was for 9.36 trillion. Long-term inflows came in at 56.69 billion. Estimate was for 81.03 billion. Fixed income net flows 43.82 billion. Estimate was for 55.84 billion. Equity net outflows 4.32 billion. Estimate inflows 21.38 billion. And if you could throw up United Health, they also reported earnings this morning. Adjusted EPS of $6.14. Estimate was for $5.95. Revenue was 92.9 billion. Estimate was for 90.93 billion. And in the release, they see full year adjusted EPS of $24.70 to $25. Previously saw $24.50 to $25. So a little bit of an upgrade to the health insurer. So it was a healthy market. And we have Citigroup, talked about all the major banks. That was a Friday morning. And believe it or not, Ryan, I got up a little bit extra early, about 5:30, because United Health come out about 5:55 this morning. So
Nick, I absolutely believe that. I do not need any convincing to believe that. You wake up
It's been
early.
one heck of a morning.
It seems like you don't sleep, but you're right. You know, the one takeaway that I had from the bank earnings that you just talked about, and great job giving the synopsis on those, by the way, it is the big banks that we expected to have this type of report and this type of move. Really, as far as the bank earning goes, the ones that are any type of wild card or question marks are going to be some of the smaller banks. So I'm not at all surprised to see JPM, Wells Fargo, Citigroup, Bank of America. You know, I'm not surprised to see any of those bigger banks report good earnings. The diamond comments that you mentioned are interesting. I do not think the economy is very strong. I think the market has been propped up by the darlings, the 7 really important stocks, but we'll see how this ends up going. We'll see what happens as things kind of shake through the system.
And I was going to say next week, too, we get more bank earnings. We get more on Tuesday. We get Bank of America, Morgan Stanley. I believe we get PNC, Charles Schwab, United Community Banks, Western Alliance. Wednesday, we even roll into a few more bank earnings. I believe we get Goldman Sachs, we get Tesla, Netflix. So next week is really ramping up earnings season. And this is where it's going to be mainly the drivers. Yes, we still care about inflation. We still care about the economic data. But a lot of the drivers is going to be earnings, because the Dow this morning, Dow Jones Industrial Average futures, are mainly implied because of JP Morgan and United Health. Those are the biggest drivers.
All right, we are open here, folks. Just getting my screens all set up. Please pardon my dust. Reset this chart view. Oops. Boy, I'm misclicking everything here this morning, folks. Mitch, bail me out.
All right, looking at X here, guys. Looking at X. I like the hourly off of 24.89. So I might just take a long here right out the gates here. I don't normally take right out the gates, but a nice little pullback here right into that level. I'm looking at that hourly level to see if it can hold in support. There is a gap down below, so maybe we get a little bit of a wick through here, but I'm going to look to see if we can recover right back towards 25 here. Is X trying to give it to me today? We'll find out.
Plug pulled off the open here. Yeah, DMX, that's such a sad story. Plug pulled off the open here, but is bouncing. I'm late to this, so I don't have a position yet, although I would like to play one of these stocks.
Lennar, DR Horton, 52-week highs, Netflix, 52-week highs. So it looks like this is going to be a broad-based rally. It's just not going to be confined to one sector.
IONQ possible breakout here from the pre-market high. What is this? What is this number? 1508.
All right.
Right through it. IONQ. Wow, I wasn't even fast enough to buy that. There it was. Holy smokes.
Needed that quantum
Look at
speed,
that
bro.
breakout. Look at the breakout that we just got above these pre-market highs. This thing's moving here. Still going no chill in IONQ. Man, am I upset that I couldn't get that. I tried. Little slow.
Hey.
ION, God, that was a nice one. That was a nice one. Do we dare look at Nikola, Chet? Nikola pulling back out of the open. USI, this is popping here too. This is another quantum name. I wonder if this goes with IONQ. IONQ traded up to 1536, pulling back off that spot. 1536, the new spot for more highs.
All right, what's going on out there? Workhorse will be next to run like Nikola. I just can't go after those names. They're too crappy of stocks for me to go after.
Big pull in IONQ.
That's just me. Like always, you guys can go after it if you guys like it. GGAA, SAI, Becca talking about.
Yeah, SAI for me, this looks like a 240 snap. If we get 240s up here, maybe that's tradable. That was on the list from this morning. ACAD, this had a big pop on news here. Let's see. I'd be interested to see if this starts pushing away from the VWAP. ACAD pharmaceutical shares are trading higher after the company announced it acquired ex-North American rights to Torfentide and global rights to Neuron's NNZ 2591 in Rett syndrome and Fragile X syndrome. Company announces guidance. So looks like a nice little PR there from ACAD. Maybe this can move above the VWAP here. SAI coming back in from those highs. I think volume will be the key here in ACAD. If we can get some volume, maybe this can go right at VWAP here. Guys are talking about Airbnb. Paul, looking at Airbnb.
Yeah, that looks good there.
I'm so glad I closed that short. You want to talk about being wrong? Just straight up wrong. That was my Airbnb short. That did not work. Plug here right back to the VWAP. So we pulled, we bounced. We're holding at the VWAP. Let's see if that sets up.
Healthcare making a move to the upside, guys. So biotech's healthcare plans doing really well here out the gates. I didn't expect to see it, but UNH, nice little pop out the gates there. CVS might be a opportunity back to 7250s. Cigna Group getting a lift there. Humana still pulling back, but CNC lifting. So it looks like those healthcare plans getting a nice little pop out the gates here.
Filled some ACAD here. I'm going to try this. I'm nervous about it. Went small. Just looking for a pop above this VWAP. Maybe we can start moving here on ACAD.
Oil taking a hit here and pulling back pretty hard. Man, looks like even though that EIA mention came out, we could see XOM take out the lowers. I could have gotten shaken by the EIA. We'll see. I got out at 106. We're right back down to 103s.
ACAD compressing here. It's going to break this direction one way or another. I'm playing for upside. If I don't get it, I'm out. Not going to stick around on some of these plays on Fridays. Mystery Man, you're out already. See you at the close. All right, Mystery Man, good luck today. At first I read that, see you at the course, and I got really excited.
Carvana has pulled back. It just made a huge candle up there. Nice little rip from 37s to 39s. We could look for maybe some pullback action on that. But, man, Carvana, big move here out the gates here. Big move. Look for some pull. I'm looking for pullback towards like 38, 36 or 38s. But, man, nice little lift off there.
I was going to say pain reform, ticker PRFX. That's halted 53% to the upside.
Will those stocks get another lift today? They don't look too bad here. Start having not a bad start. Get that one. Eric KK, will that go higher today? How are the banks doing now? JPM still pulling back here. Will they catch the dip? See.
Add to SQQQ as I think we pull back here. $13, you still out there, my man?
Nvidia still strong. Meta pulling back here to the VWAP. Will I get the next move higher? Something to keep an eye out for. Google remaining strong. I talked about Google yesterday. I wanted it all day long, and Google just never came back to VWAP until like 10. We got close, but didn't really touch VWAP. It just was a strong stock all day yesterday. All right, what are you guys looking at?
ACAD pop in a little bit here. I really want this to clear out 30. We're at 29.90. We are almost at that 30 handle. Let's get going. By the way, 13 right here, not to embarrass you a little bit, but a regular in our happy hour, super sharp technician. He's actually the inspiration for going over the SPY chart every day that we do, and has some really awesome calls on the market. So glad you're joining us here, 13. SQQQ add now underwater, but I'm going to try and be patient with that. Still waiting on ACAD here. Don't want to get too oversized early on. Went small in two different positions at the same time, so just kind of want to be as tactical as I can. Djokovic won the first set, by the way, is up 2-1 in the second set.
All right, looking around, team. What are you guys looking at? I can see the bigger stocks definitely still pretty strong on the day, so keep your eyes out on that. But pretty strong right now. We'll see if this can keep going. But I definitely see Apple up nice. That's looking good. Like it wants to get to 191s today. That's looking strong. Nvidia now ripping 472s. I can see the Qs going higher and continuing. It just seems like no one wants to break this market. Amazon going higher, Tesla going higher. Yeah, I think it's just looking like upside moves now. So I'll be looking for anything that's dipped. But AMD going higher. We're just missing tech going higher right now. At least I am. I hope somebody's able to start nailing these.
Yeah, I'm trying to play a pullback in tech. So I'm missing that. By the way, nice call, Crow. PRFX open here. This is one of those halt fest stocks. We'll see if this actually takes out the pre-market high. EDTX halted.
All right, looking around, team. Just seeing stocks that are strong. Meta's on the VWAP. That's one that I'm thinking about here. That would be.
I was going to say regarding
313.
I was going to say, Mitch, regarding to Meta, there's a report out from CNBC. They're citing Sensor Tower and SimilarWeb, basically saying Threads has seen drops in daily active users and time spent on the app since the weekend. But with 100 million signups in only 5 days, it is important to still note that one of the fastest debuting apps of all time. And it seems some traffic is shifting to Twitter. But I think the times, it's like you're spending 10 or 20 minutes less on Threads. Until you get a web app, I don't think Threads is going to be used much, just because you have to use your phone, and that's just very hard to manage if you're working. It'd be better if you had a web app like Twitter.
Good mentions. All good mentions there, Nick.
One of the things to keep in mind about those signups for Threads is how many of those signups do you think they checked it out and within the first 5 minutes they were like, nah.
Yeah.
You have no data on that other than the engagement, and those numbers are poor.
Yeah, but I definitely have to think that Meta really created a product that's going to compete with Twitter. That's one thing that I can immediately say. Now, the only question is, will Elon destroy Twitter? Because he's completely changed it, right? We thought that Elon would be a good thing for Twitter. I think
he is. I'll take the other side of that. I think he is. I think it's better.
Look what's happened since he's grabbed it. It's lost so much value.
What's lost value?
The actual company.
The company's private.
Yeah, but they before then they've lost a lot of value with all the advertisers leaving.
The Twitter experience is better since Elon took it over. It's not close. The only downside that I'm currently struggling with right now is that the old TweetDeck, which is superior to the new TweetDeck, doesn't seem to be compatible.
You guys out there, let's actually chat. Do you guys think Twitter has gotten better with Elon or worse?
I'll take Mitch's side. I think it's gotten worse. I've probably muted today since I've started tweeting this morning, probably 50 bots. And you cannot tell me that Linda Yaccarino, the CEO, she tries to make all these comments. She's trying to improve Twitter, but having people to have $8 to pay to use TweetDeck, I think that's ridiculous. I think you should be bringing back the legacy old check marks. You shouldn't be just having anybody that can be verified. There's a lot of Elon Musk's comments on the platform. I think they're ridiculous. That shouldn't be even allowed. Having a cage match, trying to physical harm somebody. There's just so much that is wrong with Twitter that the old TweetDeck doesn't work. Now, I can't even tweet from it. I got to go to the new TweetDeck. But
yeah, I tweet from the new one too.
The bots, that's another one that they need to get under control.
So I'll stop you there. I will agree with the bots. The bots definitely need some work, but it doesn't derail my experience. It doesn't do anything negative for me. I've been ignoring bots on the internet since the AOL chat room days. Like, that's not going to be a huge thing. There's way less censorship on it. Community notes is amazing. That's probably the best thing that they added that really makes the experience better. By the way, ACAD pulling back here. It's going to stop out of ACAD right here. So, I mean, look, it's up to the user. To me, it's not even close. It's not even close. When you talk about fundamental things like censorship and accuracy, those are much, much improved. Maybe I'm just being too much of an optimist, but I think that they'll resolve the TweetDeck issue. And I do have a belief that they can fix the bot issue. As far as the paying $8, Nick, I was ready to pay $8 when Twitter first started. I was surprised that it was free. I have no problem supporting it. I actually did the yearly plan where it was a little bit less than that because I saved 15 or 20%. So to me, that's a non-issue, frankly. And TweetDeck, I would have paid. I paid for it anyway. The whole thing about the way that they were giving legacy check marks was broken. It was one-sided, and so you want to bring back something else where people can get a non-paid verified. Yeah, I'm not against that at all. ACAD really pulling back here, by the way.
AMD going higher, man, and I will have a story for us at 10 o'clock that has to do with AMD, and it's just how it is sometimes. AMD is ripping right now. We'll talk about that coming up. But definitely Q's going higher, and it just looks like we could keep going higher. We pulled back now to the VWAP, just kind of above it here. We'll look to see if it goes right back towards 381. Will the SPY continue to climb? I'm looking at stocks like Apple on the pullback. Microsoft is a little bit weaker today. It's heading on the downside there now. We'll look to see if that cuts down. Google staying strong here. Tesla's pulled back a little bit. We'll look to see if that takes the next level. And I'm keeping an eye on Meta right now at 312s. Will it make a down move to 311s here or keep going higher? We'll find out. But one thing that I'd mentioned
on the screen switch, Mitch. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. One thing I'd mentioned is advertising money, and that's the main thing that I think that Elon's affected in a negative way for Twitter. That's the reason why he had to find a new CEO. Let's just be honest. It's not because of that he wasn't doing a good job. It's because of the advertisers, and he wanted to bring him back. By him taking a back seat, now they start to come back because there's a new CEO.
But are they really coming back? That's the question.
That's the question. That is the main question that I would ask myself there too. Are they really coming back though? All right, Meta here pulling back here. It doesn't look too bad. If I could get another move through 312, I might take it right off of that 311.65. Just need a slight ticket below 312s, like in the 311.90s here.
Plug pop coming back to its, or actually went through its VWAP. Wow, Plug, good call there. Like I took that off my screen.
They were upgraded to outperform from
$22 price target, yeah.
From Northland. They say that we see Plug generating higher revenue from its electrolyzer business and achieving better margins.
All right, got a little starter there, 50 shares below 311s in the 90s. Looking to get a little bit more, but I needed to pull back a little bit more here. All right, not looking too bad now as we start getting above the 312s.
Home building sector is doing pretty well because Raymond James upgrades Polk Group, KB Home, and Lennar to outperform from market perform, basically saying that the build-up demand in single-family homes warrants a refreshed valuation approach.
Plug might be pulling from this move up. Yeah, those home builders have been really strong.
Looking to add at 311.85s here. If I can get a nice little add there off the bid, it would be nice. Then going to hold off the 311.65. No fill on that pullback. I might think it might take off right here. So
Plug more.
Jump in. All right, trying to get some here on this pullback.
Plug trying to go through the highs. I have the high print here at 327 on the recent run up, 1334 your pre-market high on Plug. See if we get the pullback that we really need or if it just keeps going.
All right, now I got 100 shares of Meta. So taking a little bit more of a shot here. Just trying to keep adding to it. I have 312.08s.
Plug at a spot here at 1325. They took it. This looks higher here. Here we go on Plug.
Pluggy.
Still want to pull back on this name to kind of to trade it. I would love to see that here.
All right, like that move, first move here on Meta. Looking for pullbacks now to add towards 312.10s at 312.20s.
Come on, Plug, pull back and give me an open or give me an entry. Trying to be patient with it instead of buying this break and immediately getting slammed with the pullback that I think is coming.
All right, looking good here in Meta. Now we're up towards 312.70s. I have 312.08s, about 100 shares through 313s. I can take some profits and then look to hold the rest for a nice little break towards 314s. Looking for Meta to go higher. We'll see what happens. Back above VWAP. Looking good here. If you start to push, I'll look to sell some through the 313s. There's 312.90s on the offer. All right, just took a little bit off there. Hit 313 really fast, but was able to take at least a little bit off there. Now I have about half of it left from 312.08s. It's already up almost a point, looking for the expansion move, but of course not going to let it come down and cut me out. So nice little move there on Meta from 312.08s is my average. Let's see if this can really start moving now.
Here's the pullback and Plug that I was waiting for.
There we go. Nice little pop there. We can sell another 25 shares here. Not bad.
Sick trade,
just
Mitch.
Sold another 25 right there. Now I look for the breakthrough towards 314s, right? But no matter what, won't let it cut through even VWAP 312.40s and just can let these last little 25 shares try to gain me that 314, right? That'll be another kind of still same profit. So riding the profit higher, right? That's all I'm trying to do now. We'll see what happens there in Meta.
Plug at VWAP here.
Not a bad little trade there. Start the day. All right. Pluggy plug.
Well, yeah, it's just actually going beneath VWAP. Might try some of this here. Yeah, let's see. Oh, don't tell me. My bid was at 1307. Did I really not get that? There we go. There we go. So I got filled here. Going to look for a bounce play. If it doesn't bounce, I'll just sit out and wait for it to set up again. Here we go. Come on, plug. Come on, VWAP bounce.
Nice little ride higher. I'm at 1369s. I might sell here as I'm in the 74s. Can I just get into the 80s or 90s? I'll take it all off.
Plug back to its VWAP here. Come on, plug.
Yeah, meta struggling also for me here. Could pull back a little bit, but I'm giving it a chance.
Market going higher here.
It pulls to 313. This market is such in bubble mode, and I think people are scared of using that term. They're so scared of that term, bro. I don't know why people are so scared of calling bubbles, but I'll call it when I see it. We're in a bubble. All right, just looking for meta to keep stepping higher, but if it cuts back down to 313, I'm just going to take it off. Doesn't mean that it's done running on the day, but of course, I'm just kind of trying to be quicker on my trades, just in and out, taking the money and running. Let's pull back to 313.15s there. See if it takes the next step up, but could pull back at any moment here.
Plug struggling at the VWAP here. Oh, come on. Bounce, baby. We were patient. We got the good entry. Let's have the trade work.
I was going to take a look at Amazon. There's still some talk around their Prime Day. There was a note from Wells Fargo this morning basically saying the company cited 375 million units sold versus 300 million in 2022, indicating better than 20% GMV growth. Strong Prime Day could represent demand pull forward, but believe it's likely a positive read-through on 3Q revenue trajectory.
All right, guys, I already set the stop there on Meta. Now I'll look for the continuation, but I'm also going to be looking for a pullback in other stocks, so I can set the stop there, stop worrying about it, look for more plays. All right, so Microsoft is one that I'm going to be looking at now. It's right coming back above VWAP. Are we going to make a move right back to the downside, or are we going to continue the move that we have in Microsoft? It has a little bit of a blow off top look off 350, so I'm going to be a little bit careful off that 350, but who knows? Maybe we can get back up there towards 350. That's still 2 points away from here.
What do you guys make of Disney with Bob Iger coming back? Do you think that's a strategic good plan for Disney?
No, just they're at the point where it's like you're in a boat with 1,000 holes and you only got one plug.
Yeah, you only have so many fingers to plug those holes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a really good point.
Yeah, that's what it is. You're in a sinking ship right now, and you have so many holes, but only a couple of ways to solve them. And the truth is, they did not take advantage of their growth when they had it, Nick. My personal opinion, ESPN does not belong anywhere near Disney's brand. And so sometimes you have to think about what's better to keep, right? Is it better to keep the profitable thing in Disney?
Out of plug, by the way. Out of plug. Escaped with a small gain. Sorry for interrupting, Mitch.
No, you're good, man. It's a good interruption to your trade. But definitely, I think that's very important there. And they had a chance there when ESPN was starting to really take off. There was a point where ESPN was doing really, really well. If they would have just spun it off, made it a separate product, and actually created an ESPN Plus. Not what they have, ESPN Plus, but an actual service that I could pay. Let's say that I don't have cable and I could pay $20 a month to have just ESPN, the channel itself. There was a point in time I 100% would have paid it. I think a lot of sports fans would pay for it. But what is ESPN Plus? It's nothing. It's just go watch hockey and go watch some 30 for 30 shows.
So the thing about, I don't pay for Plus. I don't really care much for ESPN. I really think that they're going the wrong direction, and I'm not going to support them. Very much the opposite of Twitter. I'm happy to support them.
Meta for the green.
Nice trade, Mitch. But so the ESPN Plus, you're actually making a really good point about that, Mitch. It's more niche based, right? First of all, those 30 for 30 documentaries are incredible. And the producers and directors and the people that are responsible for those deserve a humongous round of applause. I've seen many of those that are absolutely fantastic. If you haven't seen the American Gladiators one and you're anywhere near my age, I implore you to check out that 30 for 30 or that documentary. But I digress. Hockey, you're right, Mitch. You're going to get hockey and you're also going to get golf. So fans of those sports probably more willing to pay for that. And I mean, I just don't. I just don't.
But you don't think Bob Iger, who has the experience, is going to come back? Because that's what Bank of America is basically reiterating in their call today. They're basically standing by their shares of Disney after Bob Iger was on CNBC to lay out his strategic vision.
Yes, but what happened to the stock yesterday, right? Was it a Elon Musk reaction? No, by no means necessary, right? And that's the truth. He's no Elon Musk. And I think if anything, what do we keep hearing? That they can't find somebody better than Iger. Not that they want to keep Iger, but that they can't find anybody better than Iger. And so that's an issue there.
Well, I was going to say there's a new Wall Street Journal piece out this morning titled "Bob Iger Isn't Having Much Fun," and in the report they're basically laying out what has happened at Disney over the past years, what Bob Iger is doing when he's coming back, and just basically some of the internal discussions with employees of how Iger is trying to manage his company.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. And I think it just shows to me that you got to be careful because his idea is just what? He's right now on profitability focus. But if you focus too much on profitability, you very quickly start becoming viewed as a no growth type of company. And that can destroy your value real quick. And I think that's what's happening with Disney right now. And then the parks. I've been seeing all over TikTok, Nick, and I know you're that type that could catch things like that. And TikTok, dude, there's thousands of videos showing how the parks are empty right now.
No, there's no question about that. That's literally what I believe was in the journal this past week or even last week.
There you go. That's my boy. Basically
echoing the parks are empty.
The parks are, and if the parks are empty,
there's
Disney
no money.
Plus is doing bad. They cutting content spending.
Where's the money?
I also mentioned this on pre-market prep. They just gave workers a raise of $2 an hour in April. That's another bonus that's going to hit the bottom line, right? And the truth is, they're going to struggle. They're going to struggle for at least a good while.
So who do you go with? Netflix? Is that a better option?
Always best of breed. Best of breed. And I'll tell you another one, Nick. And I hate saying this. Because I am not a fan of it.
Oh boy.
Apple, unfortunately. Apple. Go. If you have never tried Apple TV, I want you to go download it now because there's a nice little 2-month
market
trial for free that you guys can find out there. Go try it. Let me know what you guys think of it. I just started it just to try it. They're getting a lot better. They know a nice recipe. I'll come to you, Ryan.
No, I was just saying, I'm actually watching Waves, Crow called WAVS here. This thing is spread ridiculous. Let's see if I can determine the spread. It's 20-cent spread right now. That's about as tight as I've seen it. It goes up to almost 40 cents here. We just had a kind of a pullback here on the SPY. It actually brought SQQQ back to the VWAP here. I'm down on this SQQ trade even after my ad, but I'm not worried. I think maybe we turn around here at some point today.
All right, guys, I'm actually going to maybe reload right back into Meta here at 312.50s. Would have to hold off the 312s, but can risk some of my gains and just stick with the same trade, right? That doesn't look too bad. It really held 312 on that pullback, that quick one. So I'm looking for another pullback here to maybe take a little bit of a shot here. We'll also start about it the same way at 50 shares first.
I was going to say, guys, we're just getting some economic data. Michigan preliminary July consumer sentiment at 72.6. Estimate was for 65.5. That consumer sentiment number is the highest since September of 2021. And with that consumer sentiment, we always get the inflation data. Let me pull up the chart and numbers of what we have. Consumers for inflation Current conditions, July 77.5, estimates for 70.5, previous was 69. Expectations for 1-year inflation, 3.4%, estimates for 3.1%. So in this report, inflation for the 1 year is ticking upwards. And the
Long meta.
I was going to say in the 5-year, Michigan is 3.1, expecting 3.1. So very interesting to see 1 year ticking up. But remember, we just had better than expected PPI, better than expected CPI, and expected a 25 basis point hike for July.
I mean, my biggest thing is the when you think the bubble can stop, that's normally when the bubble keeps going, man.
When it can inflict as much pain as possible.
Exactly, because like you start getting this mentality, like there's no way stocks can keep going. Well, look at the stocks right now. I mean,
I've been trading to the short side trying to get it. I'm in SQQQ now waiting for stocks to turn around. So you're damn right, Mitch.
Okay, so are you echoing the 4825 S&P target? Would you?
Dude, it would, you know what it would mean to me? It's like it would want to maybe do like the true bubble move, which is let's get it up there to like 470s, make it look like we're going to go to all-time high, and then smack it right back down to like 425 on some dumb shit.
You know what?
That's how this market does. Look, one thing to remember is whenever you feel like the market is in the current environment, in like a massive bull market or bubble environment, everything goes out the window. Technicals, fundamentals, story, everything goes out the window. So what do you have to pay attention to? Just price itself.
At the end of the year, I'm going to make a call. I'm making a call on this show for 2023, and I'm going to release an S&P target. We'll see.
Oh, I love it. I
love to see it, Nick.
And I'm not going to change it. I'm going to stick with it, and I'm not changing it, and we're going to review end of each at the half of the year, and we'll see how close I am.
I like that, Nick.
All right, well, doing good right now on my meta trade there, guys. I did get that 312.43s. I was looking at 312.50s, got 50 shares there. Now I'm going to look to see it take off towards 313.60s. That's going to be my first profit. Instead of taking the 313s right now, I'm looking for it to keep going, but we shouldn't necessarily break VWAP again. So what I can do now is shed a tighter stop and just kind of trail this up higher. Of course, I already have gains on Meta, so I'm just looking to get a little bit more. Dun, dun, dun. So now I can risk what? 13 cents on 50 shares? I'll take that all day. If it does go back towards the 313.60s, I mean, that's like a nice 4-to-1, 5-to-1. Let's do it.
Drug, good call. Drug going here.
Brando says, I love Mitch's speeches. So great. No, I just try to keep it how I see it. Right. I mean, there's one thing that I try to do is just give it to you guys straight. Right. I mean, you guys will always find, I win some, I lose some. I talk about how I see it. And the truth is why? Because I want you guys to do the same for me. Right. And I think if we all do that for each other, we can make, our own responsible investment decisions. And that's what it's all about.
So a discussion that this is crazy, Mitch, a discussion that we had last night amongst the happy hour group was that I was commending the group because there have been a number of times where people have had opposing views on the same stock. And instead of arguing, instead of calling names, instead of fighting, what they did is they tried to punch holes in the thesis. And we actually had a 40-year analyst veteran yesterday say that one of the things that he would do is he would come up with a thesis for a stock, and then he'd ask all of his junior analysts or anyone that he could get to look at it that he could to punch holes in the theory. And he said, I developed much stronger trade thesis this way. The important part is that when you're trying to create a community that's helping each other, if you're punching holes in a theory, you're not shit talking the other person. Mm-hmm. You're trying to come up with a good trade plan. Drug, massive pullback, by the way, humongous knife. I didn't take this one. Let's see where this settles. Drug, oh my gosh, I hope nobody's in that.
I should maybe join Happy Hour. That soun's like a fun.
Nick, we would love to have you. My goodness, Nick, that would be awesome. You're welcome anytime.
I've been to Happy Hour. That's it. My traders out there love to be in good communities, and I talk about that all the time. I even let them know, hey, happy hour is probably where you want to go, especially after the end of my show at 4. Oh, that's where you should be, guys.
Yeah. And
So you got to be a pro member, though, right?
Exactly.
I mean,
Kevin's asking, is there a link for happy hour? Yes, there is, but that is exclusive to pro members. And there's no recording for that show either, where you have to be there to participate. And really that's by design, because it's not me. It's not me. It's not any other host. It is the participation by the people that show up voluntarily every single day that we run it. That's where the magic happens. And that's why it's not recorded.
Team, I'm looking at a trade here, and I'm really trying to get in it, which is actually a short on Riot for it to come right back down. Mara is coming down pretty significantly here. I do see kind of a head and shoulders top there on Riot, and it cracked fast, but it hasn't come back to that head and shoulders. So I'll show you guys that right now. I'll bring up my charts here so you guys can see that. There's Riot. You see one top, 2 tops, 3 tops, right? Does that look like a head and shoulders? That looks like a head and shoulders to me. You can see that left shoulder, right shoulder, the head right here. So then from there, all you think about is what's the neckline? The neckline was right here. And when we broke that, that was a 2019, 2020 cut. We cut down all the way here towards now 1953s. So what am I going to look? I'm looking for a move back above 20s so I can get short somewhere between 2005 and 2025 for it to come right back down. And of course, you're seeing Mara come down. You're seeing Hut come down. You're seeing a lot of these stocks take a little bit of a pullback. I mean, it's common after a stock rips like it did yesterday on Mara. I mean, look how far it's been running, and it gets extended from the 9 EMA for it to come back close to that 9 EMA. Does that mean it's going to happen all today? No, it could come back maybe towards this high here, 1826, and that could be the bottom action on the day. So there you guys are seeing it already kind of flush out. I don't like to chase and buy short on weakness, so I can't just chase this one, but we'll see if it comes back. It's definitely pulling back fast.
Guys, those banks that were up earlier, those are coming back in. JPM, the strongest of the group. Citigroup is actually red. We'll take a look at Wells Fargo here. Wells Fargo hanging on by 0.5%, but boy, oh boy, this is leaking here. Looking at the SQQQ chart, looks like we might have found a bottom. I expect maybe the market to roll over a little bit here.
One of my best calls of the week just continues going higher, but I definitely struggled. I've talked about how I did not trade it well, which was Oracle swing trade action. Man, look at Oracle continuing now 119. Really nice move on the day.
Jay, the Goldman Sachs move down is what actually caused me to look at some of the other banks. You're exactly right there. Also, a couple of people asking, how does a pro member find happy hour? Walter's asking. About 10 to 15 minutes before it starts. Remember, it starts right at the close. You will see a pop-up right down. You can't see my mouse on my screen. Bottom left-hand corner of Pro, where this calendar is right in here. This is where you will see a little gold pop-up. Once you sign up, you should get email reminders when the next session starts.
All right, I could look for some more trades, but I'm still in Meta and just continuing to try to let Meta work higher. We'll see if that can go higher. Now I want to do a little bit of some story time for you guys in just a second. Let's see if we can get this next layer here in Meta going higher. Meta looking good here. Let's see if we can take out the 313.62. That's the really important spot now. And you see how the 9 EMA kind of curls here on the 5? I wouldn't want it to actually close below that 9 EMA, which is that light blue line. I've been trying to use that more and more to keep me in trends and just use that as my indicator of when to get in, when to get out, kind of looking for recoveries, especially quick scoops below it, and then trying to see recoveries right back above it. There's the 313.60s, and it struggles right around where it struggled before. Now I'm looking for the move to 314. Can we get the takeout? You see how there's 3 highs in the same area? Now I want to see it try to take it out and go to 314.
Mentioned here by the chat. There we go. Mentioned here by the chat. QS going. So QS here. We've actually talked about this one. Also 13. I know that you were watching this one. 13. I think right around right here said this might be turning a corner to go, and here we are. Let's see if we could take the highs out here. Yesterday's intraday high is 1044. So we'll see if we get up there.
This is why I actually am thinking here that it might make sense to maybe take a shot in MVIS in the long run. I kind of like it there for it to come back up towards 480s. And then the next one is a 5 rip do I want to risk off here off of 4 for like a swing trade? I've already taken a QS on a swing trade, but MBIS looks interesting on the daily. I also have it here on Mumu, and you guys can check that out here. You guys can see Mumu pulling back. And I'm looking for a nice little push back above that. The daily seem to be holding there. I'd have to risk off a 4 because I'm not going to risk all the way down to 350s. That doesn't make sense to me. But if I can risk 40 cents for a move that rips 5 and it comes right into this gap zone, 540s or 6, that makes sense to me. 40 cents for about $2 or $3 on the upside. That seems to make sense. We'll see what happens.
I was going to say, can you throw up a chart of American Airlines and JetBlue? Breaking news regarding them. It says,
Nice.
There's a headline from CNBC that says, American and JetBlue to end sales of each other's as tickets next week after a judge orders breakup. Remember, the partnership between JetBlue and American in the Northeast began in 2021. A federal judge ruled in May that the airline's partnership is anti-competitive and ordered them to unwind it. JetBlue last week said it would appeal the ruling so it can focus on buying Spirit. Bloomberg is reporting that they are working together to minimize disruptions to customers who have booked travel, because it is important to note earlier this week, the carrier's website still showed flight options on each other's airlines through the end-of-year holidays, but such sales will only continue through July 20th.
All right, getting to that point where I'm about to sell some Meta, baby. Let's go. It's been a nice one here. Nice little push there higher in Meta up towards 314.16 here. Boom, I'm all out there on Meta. Killer trade there for the day there on Meta. Boom. Threads, baby. Threads.
You believe in Threads? Because I'm not really feeling it.
No, he's enjoying making money off of the thesis, and I commend him for it. That's exactly why we're here. Nice job, Mitch.
Yeah, it's exactly what Ryan said there. It's not like I'm that much of a proponent for Threads. It's just more what I think.
Market went to new highs there. SQQQ squashed. Still in.
There you go. That's a nice one there. Now I'm moving higher. One that I'm looking at to start seeing a recovery move in is LAC. It hasn't moved at all on the day. It's pulled back to the hourly. This gives me an ability to maybe risk off of 2060s here with a very low risk. One thing that I've been trying to do more off is look at hourly charts and stop being so distracted in the 1 minutes.
PFRX trading back up to the high.
All right, guys. Nice little day there for me to start off the day up about 142 on the prop. And what I liked about there was I came in the Meta smaller and was able to make just as much as I did on the first trade. And so that just shows me that I just tried to do a little bit more of risk management there, save some of the profits, use some of the cushion. I used the cushion, and what did it do? It just extended the cushion on the day. So now we have a really good day. Let's keep pushing, and we'll see what happens a little bit later. I do want to talk about a story on AMD, but the market's moving. I'm not going to interrupt the market when we could be making money.
PFRX halted for a 5th time. Tom S asking me, Ryan, thought on Unity to the short side. I don't have one. This looks like a bullish daily chart to me. This looks like this goes higher. And given the strength of the market here, I think this goes with it. I don't have a thought on the short side, Tom. Sorry. Yeah, GOEV is crazy here, Bex. GOEV moving all over the place here today. I can actually pull that up here. This is a penny stock. Opted not to play, but this thing is just absolutely wild today. Huge move. Nice VWAP pullback, giving you an entry. This is the penny stock of the day so far.
All right. We'll see
Don't have
happens.
any thoughts on Matterport either, Buglog. I've been using that as a day trading vehicle.
Will we start seeing a little bit of a turnaround? It's been such a strong day to start, but remember, guys, we could always get a little bit of a pullback.
I could use a pullback right now so I don't stop out of this SQQQ position. Full disclosure, I've got 200 shares at 17.43. So, I mean, we're down, what, 60 some dollars? Really not that big of a deal trying to layer into this, but really want to see some signs that this is at least going to work so that I can maybe stay in it or wait for another setup.
Netflix back above 453s. Held like 450 touch today and then went to 449 really quickly, but it's not looking too bad. All right, let's see if we can find a nice trade here on the if we get some like pullback or turnaround. I can't buy the highs. I hate doing that, but
Yeah, it's
we'll
been
look to
tough.
see if we get some pullback now. That's why I went after Meta. That was right off the VWAP, right? And that's more of my style of buy. I can look for Meta to come right back to 313 or like kind of 13.25s and then go right back up. But then I'm just starting to like just double, triple dip. That sometimes isn't that big of a good idea there. But looking around, guys, let's use the Explore tab here on Moomoo, of course. You guys know Moomoo. Let's go I'll put it full screen here so you guys can check it out. Full screen here, best performing areas on the day. Of course, you guys know I always like to stick with these areas. Robotics doing well today. Upstart, NVIDIA, Intuit Surgical. That's an interesting one to see up. You got healthcare plans, of course. We've talked about those already. UNH. Look how 11 of them are up and only one in the red. This is very important. These are the kind of things that I look for in sector and industry rotation. It can definitely help you for the longer time being. Semiconductors doing well. Semiconductor equipment's doing well. AI concepts doing well. So you guys can keep your eyes on that. That's not looking too bad there. And then smaller names, of course, PRFX, EDTX, AIMD, GOEV. You guys have been talking about that one. AEHR, bigger stock that had a big move on the day. You guys can keep your eyes on that one. And then turnover rankings, that's not the biggest important. I'm looking at what else maybe might having a decent day there. Lunar. What's going on with Lunar today? That's down. It just has a lot of volume pickup, but not too much there. All right, guys, if you guys see anything in healthcare moving higher, let me know because that is the leading sector to the upside. Look at these expansion moves we're getting on NASDAQ and S&P 500. This is why I'm like, dude, if I go short like some of these like tech names, I want someone to slap me today. But please let me know. I want to see them come through. All right, let's keep it going, team. We'll see what else is going on. You always let me know, Nick, if you see anything in the news environment.
I was going to say, take a look at AT&T. I think the shares are lower in like decades just because JP Morgan downgraded the stock this morning. I believe they downgraded to neutral from overweight, lowered the price target to 17. Still, though, his target implies shares could rally 12.4% the next year, though. But in that note, they say, quote, we worry that the repeated downward revisions for its key wireless and fiber growth business, the high interest rate environment, and new uncertainty regarding lead sheathed cables will limit any substantial rebound. It is interesting to note the highest price target on Wall Street for this stock is $25. The lowest is $9, and the average price target is right now that incurs about a 34.39% upside is $20.32.
I don't know how you own this stock. If you do have it,
Which one?
AT&T.
Oh, AT&T. Yeah.
It's just I think it's, bro, I think you're kind of right, but you're even probably giving them a little bit too much. He says zero growth, dead end dividend stock. No, I think actually negative growth and dead end dividend stock. It does not look bueno there. And if anything, one thing that I think is going to hit them also is, of course, what about DirecTV? What about
Are they
DirecTV?
a good cell phone provider?
So one thing is DirecTV, right? At the end of the day, is going to be going through struggles because of what?
That Sunday ticket on YouTube.
You know it, Ryan. My boy knows it. And
I already bought it on YouTube, baby. Sorry.
Exactly. And guess what? That's going to give Google the lift, and that's going to give anybody that has any exposure to DirecTV the takedown, the final takedown, I think, of DirecTV.
Do you think to the phone business, is their phone business? Who would you pick? Verizon,
Verizon,
Verizon or T-Mobile. I would say Verizon or T-Mobile. Verizon is also kind of a stock that's going to be pulling back significantly. The leader now is not Verizon; it's T-Mobile.
Take care, Milky.
Clearly, at least.
The stock.
Yeah, stock-wise. Yeah, the leader-wise in there. And so one thing that I would be looking for, though, is pullbacks on T-Mobile to try to get in on the long run because they just keep taking more and more of the market share.
Well, then you have to ask Apple or Android.
Apple or Android.
You know where I sit on that.
You guys would see you, and that's why the big thing there though is I say both. They still survive. They're
definitely going to survive. They're definitely going to survive. Nick, I'll answer it this way. We were just talking about different cell phone services and the service versus the stock and this, that, and the other thing. When it comes to the Apple to Android debate, I'm about as hardline as it gets. I use Android phones and I own Apple stock because I much prefer the experience on Android. I think the features are better. I actually just got the reaction feature on the newer phone that all the Apple users really like, reacting to messages with hearts and thumbs up and stuff like that. The camera's always been better. The phone's always been more customizable, but people go after Apple for the ecosystem and it makes it incredibly sticky and it turns this phone almost into a service. From a stock perspective, I absolutely want to own that. My mom, for example, I would never want her to have an Android phone. Give her the Apple phone that she knows how to use so she's not calling me 900 times about how to do something on the Android phone. And you know what else? There's millions and millions of people that feel the same way. So I'm going to capture that by owning the stock long. My cost adjusted basis is in the 20s now because of the splits. So that for me, this is an easy one.
So Ryan, why don't you just go be an analyst at one of these big banks? Start putting out your own research notes.
Because I'm not trying to get up at 5 a.m. every day and put on a suit.
That is
That's why.
I would totally want to be on that distribution list.
That is true though, and that's where I even battle it sometimes too, man. I can't be so corporate.
It's just not in my nature to do that.
It's not in my nature either, man.
I'm not forgive me for even using this phrase, but I'm not like, a hoity-toity Wall Street fellow. I'm a blue collar guy from Main Street trying to make it in this market. I don't know that I fit in as an analyst on the bank, but I will, if you ask me for my opinion, I'll tell it to you.
All right, guys.
Actually, Paul, my mom already has the Apple Watch and she loves it. She loves it. In fact, I'll say this, for all of the people that have Apple Watches, I am struggling to recall somebody that complains about their Apple Watch. Now, obviously, I have the Galaxy Watch, the Golf Edition, by the way. They're awesome. The devices are awesome. And don't let my Android fandom cloud the what we're talking about here. Apple makes great products. I understand that. That's one of the reasons why I own the stock. For my own personal user experience, I want Android, but I recognize how great and how popular those Apple products are, and I capture it financially.
It's not that I can't wear a suit. It's more along I don't want to maybe wear one every day because someone else tells me to wear it. If I want to wear it, that's a whole nother ballgame. But I will say
I could wear a suit every day. If I really wanted to, I could probably put on a suit for this show, but that's just too much effort in the morning.
I will say I've thought about getting the watches, but one thing that I realized is that, hold on. So you're telling me to carry more radiation?
And that's, Mitch, I know you kind of got some laughter out of that, but the reality is that there's going to be more and more studies in that. In fact, there's already there's military applications where people have to sit in very small confined rooms for long hours with a bunch of different Wi-Fi and cellular signals in that room, and they are actually developing health issues from it. Every person is different. Every person has different tolerances, but I suspect over the years that you're going to hear more and more about that. Right now, for me, I don't notice any negative type of symptom in any case. I absolutely love the devices. They're convenient. I use them.
So do you wear it all day, Ryan?
Yeah, I do, because one of the things that I'm currently trying to do, Nick, is I'm trying to track the fitness aspect of it. I'm really, really up on trying to hit that 10,000 steps every day. On the weekend, I don't even really have to try. It's 15 to 20,000 because of the golf. But on the weekdays, I feel like having the step counter right there really drives me to do more walking. If I'm in a building and I look at an elevator and a staircase, I'm going to take the staircase. So just overall, I feel I actually really like the display and the functions of it as well. But yeah, I wear it all day.
That's interesting because I have an Apple Watch. I only wear it when I go out. I don't wear it I don't have it on right now. I don't wear it every day. it's going to be interesting. Can the phones track steps? I'm not exactly sure if
Yes,
your
the
iPhone
phone can. Yes, the phone. I don't know about Apple, but the Android phone can absolutely track steps. And the one thing I'll say about that is that I am guilty of putting my phone down and then forgetting that I put it down. I go into another room, I start another activity, my phone's blowing up, it's on vibrate, I don't hear it, and I'm like, where's my phone? And I come back to a whole bunch of missed messages and texts and calls and stuff like that. Having the watch, when I leave the phone in the other room, my watch will tell me that things are going on. By the way, one time I locked myself out on the patio of the balcony of my third story unit here, and I couldn't get back in. I was literally locked out there. I placed a call to the person that had my emergency key from my watch, and they came over and rescued me. That made me a believer. Believe me.
So yes,
There you
Apple
go.
phones can track steps.
And I do have a really quick question here. For all of the, we're talking a lot about Apple versus Samsung or Apple versus Android. Let's step away from that for a sec. I'm really curious for all of you out there that are really big Apple proponents or are part of the Apple ecosystem. What do you think about the AR goggles? That's what I'm more interested in. Any Apple user out there, are you excited about the $3,500 goggle set? Are you getting it? What are your thoughts on that? I'd be curious to know. I don't have any experience with that, so I'd like to hear from the group what their thoughts are.
That's not for me. I'm not AR.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always said it. They just need to get some good games. Once they start getting, you get me Grand Theft Auto in Quest, I'm there.
We've got one. Vanessa wants the goggles.
I want the goggles too. The Apple ones.
That's two.
I want them. Just more along. Can Vanessa pay for them? Nah, just joking out there. But yeah, no, they're a little expensive. But I mean, they do look pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. And I agree that they're nothing like Meta's goggles. They're probably like 10 times the level of Meta's goggles.
This is what I wanted to see.
You're right, Becca.
Too costly. Wait for another model so adjustments can be made. To me, that's kind of where I would fall if I wanted to purchase this product. I don't, so take that with a grain of salt. But I think that's right on. That's right where I would fall in.
Yeah. I'm starting to see some defensive names starting to get a little bit stronger with this pullback in the market. Just be keeping an eye out to see if we kind of keep leaking out here. Walmart's starting to come back up. Costco making a move to the upside there. So I'm starting to see stocks like that making a move. Coke making a move higher. Pepsi on the pullback right now looks interesting off of 187.50 here for a move back up towards 188. I'm actually looking at that right now. Pepsi? I don't think I remember the last time I traded Pepsi, but why not?
What do you prefer, Pepsi or Coca-Cola?
Always Coke, man. Always Coke.
Yeah, I did when I drank soda, but since I've quit soda, I guess I don't really care.
Yeah, I mean, I don't drink soda too often, but if I had to choose it, yeah, I'm definitely going with Coke.
Yeah.
I prefer coffee. I prefer coffee.
Me too, Nick. You're wise beyond your years, my friend.
I mean, it's just like, let's say, like if it's like 2:00 and it's 90 degrees outside, I'm not drinking coffee.
You drink iced coffee. You're right.
Yes, but I don't understand the Mountain Dew, the Pepsi, the Dr. Pepper, the root beer.
What? You don't understand the Celsius, the Bangs, the
Prime? What's
the Prime? Yeah, the new one that's getting hit right now.
We'll stick to coffee.
What's up with this guy, Logan Paul? And he just wants to be in every controversy.
I'll be honest, Mitch. My mental capital is stretched for controversies. Mentally, I'm already on the golf course. I'm walking down that first fairway. I'm walking up to my approach shot. I got peace around me. I have no effing idea what controversy you are talking about.
All right. Well, I'll tell you at least I have an all-star game this weekend, so that's all I'm caring about. Let's go. All right, just got a little long Pepsi there, 187.74. willing to add, but risking off kind of like the 187.50 right now. So don't want to add just yet here. I want to start seeing it come back towards 188 and start to see that come back. What did I see on the 1 minute that made me interested in Pepsi? I'll show you guys that right now. Just give me 1 second here.
Djokovic 2-0 right now. That looks like he's going to walk through Sinner this morning.
All right, here you guys have PepsiCo. So I'll show you guys. I like the little pullback there level, and I see kind of like a little bit of an inverse head and shoulders here. Let me actually go to the full screen chart here. Go back to my watch list. Pepsi. All right, so Pepsi here is pulling back there, and I'll go to the 1 minute to kind of show you guys this. So there's this little like kind of inverse head and shoulders pattern here. And you guys can see that little pullback that just happened. So the way that I see it is this is the neckline. So if we can get back above that, we're going to be looking pretty good. But really, I did get the like kind of the right shoulder just recently. So wouldn't want to see it break that right shoulder here. So that's kind of the pattern that I see here for Pepsi. Let's see if we get this move where it goes back higher, hits around here, around the support that used to be right here. So then I would look for that to kind of run right into that. And then maybe a little bit of a pullback and then continuation higher. We'll see what happens. I like to draw out my trades a lot of the times. For newer traders, I think this is a very important thing. And then also telling yourself, okay, so where's my out limit to? Well, my out is right over here on this level. And so if it does cross that line, I need to be getting out. But if the trade is working, this is what it should kind of do. And so it doesn't mean 100%, but it gives me a better ability of looking for what could happen and also knowing the negatives of what could come into play.
PRFX is open, by the way, folks. This has just been an unbelievable runner. Pain reform. Yeah, pain reform for anyone that short this name. It is going to be tough for you. This is just an absolute monster.
Baby.
Looks like this is going to halt again here, by the way.
One that just got to lift the lift there that I'm willing to take at least a $10 shot on is RXRX here. I like how it's pulled back on the last couple of days. I'm going to look for a pullback here towards 1210s and then look to jump off the 12s here. Limit order out there at 1210. Let me see if I can get it to pull back and fill me. It's at bid at 1210 here. I'm looking for offer 1210 there to try to get the fill there. Let's see. It's 1211. There we go. Got it. All right, so I got a little bit there at 1210s there, RXRX on the pullback there off this. Was looking at this earlier for a little bit of a reversal signal. Now we finally start getting it. So what can I do? I can just use kind of this trend line here and then start looking at kind of where that should hold on pullbacks, kind of around 1196. So I can risk right below that, let's say 1190s, looking for the break back towards 1275. And then it could even start really going. What I like about this one is that it's gone sleepy after making that recent rip. If it comes back for a trend line rip like this, going through here, up here towards 1325, it looks like it could really get the motor going. We'll see what happens. A little bit of a shot there on RXRX. All right, let's get back to the Moo action trade here. Pepsi, does that go higher? This is one that I could take a look at here. We'll see what happens. And then also on even Moo, I could take that RXRX trade. It doesn't really look bad there. The only key is I would definitely set my stop there for the Moo because I've tried to be very precise in stocks that I've gotten in on that stock. Pepsi, just slightly in the red. We'll see what happens there.
Take a look at oil stocks, Chevron, XOM, oil. WTI crude and Brent falling session lows. WTI and Brent are down by $1 a barrel. But taking a look at the broader eco area for Chevron, that's down like 2.5%. XOM, which would be Exxon, they're down 2.4%. It's basically that rally whenever, because we saw this happen whenever inflation's cooling, prices soared, and so now there's some worry that inflation's ticking back up. So now prices are going to fall. It's just the broader system that we kind of touched on.
I agree. And we are getting a little bit of pullback action here in the Qs. How far will we pull back? It's something to keep an eye out for. But I'm also just watching to see if we start to really leak. You can see it here in the NASDAQ little pullback there. The SPY is actually in the red from the open. And that's something to keep an eye out for if NASDAQ gets into the red from the open. But SPY could recover as long as the Qs can stay strong. We'll see what happens. It's that type of day, guys. Just be careful out there. Like always, I've had a decent day in meta, but you got to be careful. All right, guys. So I want to tell you guys a little bit about a story that happened to me yesterday in AMD. And so you guys remember probably yesterday I was long AMD towards the close, and I'll bring up my chart to kind of talk about this story here. And so what ended up happening at AMD, I always want to tell you guys the stories, whether they be positive or negative, right? And I think that that's the important part here in Benzinga versus anywhere else in the world, because everywhere else in the world, they're going to tell you all about the positives and not about the negatives, right? But the truth is that you are going to be making mistakes as traders sometimes. And the more that you're willing to admit that you make mistakes, I think the better you'll get. Of course, that's relative because it's going to be more about your ability to get better. But I would say, yeah, the faster you admit your mistakes, the better you'll be. So yesterday I was long AMD right before this kind of break here, and it went to VWAP. It started coming back up. It pulled back here towards the 114.50 area. And I said, you know what? I'll take a shot on here and I'll risk off the 114. And I'm looking for a move to 115. The only thing that I forgot, though, is one important factor that I think is very important to remember, right? If anybody wants to be in the background, you can, but I'm just going to put myself in the corner here. Actually, it's full screen because this screen. So, all right,
full screen for the lesson, Mitch. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. So AMD started. So what I did was I said, you know what? All right, so I'm getting in there and I'm going to look for a little push back here towards 115. If I could get that 115 break, I'll be looking pretty good, and I can take a nice little like above 1 point gain here. If not, 114, the out there, we'll look to see what happens. So I set a limit order at 115 and a stop order at the 114. Of course, I had to go do some interviews on the AI event. So what ended up happening is the stock quickly popped to that 115, actually filled me on the limit there at that 115. So that was a really good win on the trade, right? But of course, I also had the stop order out there. I thought I would at least get the chance to come back and take a look at my position by this time and be able to cancel that stop order for it not to come down all the way to 114. But the stock immediately came back to 114s right on the dot, filled me back on the short side of things right around here. And you could see that 114 entry, boom, fills me short there at 114 for the stop that's supposed to get me out of the position. And I just get crushed on the way back up. And this stock just keeps going back up all day long. And by the time I get to it, I'm just down big here at 115. And I'm trying to battle it. And it starts to pull back to 114.50s. And it's starting to come back. And I'm like, oh, maybe I can just get it all the way. Nope. It never really came back there for me. So stopped out on that position and not looking good on AMD. Lost big yesterday, but the real big learning lesson in here is always understanding what kind of orders can help you here. So what do we want to be using is kind of more of the range orders or the OCO orders so that you can get out just after you get that first fill. So the stop and the limit was the wrong approach here, but due to the account that I had to kind of put those in there. But like always, we got to keep our eyes sometimes on these trades because in this case, I could have definitely got out with a really nice win instead of losing on this trade. So wanted to tell you guys that story because at the end of the day, it's all about the positives and the negatives. I think that we can all learn from mistakes. So, hey, you win some, you lose some. And this time, a little interview might have cost me a little bit, but that's just part of the game, right? Especially if you have a job and you trade. And I know a lot of you guys do. So just a shout out lesson there for you guys to learn from. All right, let's keep going, team. What else is going on? How's cryptocurrencies doing today? Who wants to take a look at that?
Bitcoin down about 1.5%.
Okay. All right. So not looking too bad there, but At least a little pullback, not complete disaster. I will throw up here Moo. If you guys want to go ahead and check it out, you guys can take a look at the stock heat map, the best performing. Definitely take a look there. If you guys are looking at, I think one of the most interesting areas is the quant section. We haven't talked about this in a little while now, so I wanted to kind of show you guys a little bit more of the quant section. And this is where you guys can actually be setting up your own algorithmic trading strategy. So Moo actually has an ability to let you build these. A lot of platforms will not give you the ability to build an algorithm. I mean, just look around, right? This is a true advantage that I think Moo has over a lot of brokerages. There's not many that will give you an ability to build conditions for you to kind of build a strategy here and then maybe let it execute by yourself. And what I love is that you can actually test these strategies here and you can run statistical data on it. And of course, you guys know how it's so important to back test. So have some fun with it if you guys haven't checked it out before. And Mitch, is Bookmap worth it? I think it is, Jeff, but more like if you're like a day trader, right? And so I think that that's the more important thing for Bookmap. If you're not so much of a day trader, maybe it's not the 100% necessary, but can it help you? Yeah, Jeff. A lot of times I always talk about the guys with the best tools a lot of the times can do pretty well. The key is, though, try to keep it simple in those tools. Try not to go too crazy in your variables, because if you start taking like 20 variables, if I had 20 variables to this strategy, it could probably hit maybe once or twice a week. So things like that, you got to keep in mind. All right, that's enough for the outlook there, but I definitely would advise for you guys to check that out. And of course, just try to maybe start building it. All right, Pepsi going really well now. It's up there and starting to build. Of course, I drew this trade out there, right? And we talked about it. Would it get that nice little lift higher and then just keep pushing? It doesn't look too bad. It kind of pushed up, pulled back a little bit. Now let's see if it really goes to 188.30s and continues to climb a little bit higher.
So I'm going to take a look at Microsoft. We haven't touched on this one yet. It got an upgrade over at UBS, I should say. I tweeted this out too. Got an upgrade over at UBS this morning. To buy from neutral. Price target to 400. Previous, it was like 345, I think. In that note, basically saying that they upgraded Microsoft shares to buy from neutral on evidence that Azure and AWS cloud infrastructure spend is beginning to stabilize after a significant deceleration over the past year. We believe this, coupled with near-term AI catalysts, as well as the material underperformance in the stock since May 1st, make the setup too attractive to maintain a neutral view on this stock. Just to give you some context around this stock, highest price target on the street is 415. The average price target on the street is 348.81, and the lowest price target on the street for this stock is 232.
And you were correct. It was 345 to 400 on that UBS upgrade.
There you go. All right. We'll look to see if Pepsi takes 188 and really starts making its way to 188.50s. That's what I'm really looking for. I'm looking for like at least close to a point, if not over a point on the name. I'm only risking about 14 cents. So risk nothing to make a good amount. I'll take it every time, man.
Risk reward, baby. Put that in your favor all day long.
Yeah. All right, let's see what's going on with the Qs here. Will we get another lift? It's right off of VWAP. Very important time to keep an eye out on some tech names. We'll see what happens here. Qs right off of my VWAP. It could be a little bit, your VWAP could be a little lower. We'll find out. But either way, an important time to take a look here on the Qs to see what happens. I take a look at the 15-minute. The 15-minute still looks pretty bullish, right? I mean, it could still hold support. It could still not crack this 380.70s. That still looks good there for me for it to come back up. But, of course, the SPY is dragging a little bit more. You can see that. And what's affecting the SPY and why is it getting dragged? Well, a lot of that's going to be some of these stocks like the healthcare names are the only one in the green today from the open. And what do you have from the open? Red: technology, consumer, defensive, basic, real estate, financials, utilities, industrials, energy. So that's all dragging the SPY down. The only thing that's keeping it up right now is that Qs. But if the Qs let go, we could really start cutting down on the SPY. And that's why I'm actually playing some defensive names, right? I just got cut out of RX. I will let you guys know there. 1188 cuts me out there. It's okay. Took a shot. We'll see what happens. This could come down now, actually, and cut towards the 1150s. We'll see what happens on that. I'm not going to stay in there because the cut down to 1150 could instantly also go to 11. That's just not really smart. So a loss like what, 23 bucks there? I'll take that anytime. All right, let's keep going. We'll see if Pepsi can keep going higher. I'm looking for some of these kind of names in the consumer defensives to go green. Beverages are doing well. So Coke doing well on the day. Look how Coke is going higher. That's another reason why I'm going after Pepsi, right? What's another way that we can look at it here? Let's take a look here. Costco looking higher there. That's not looking too bad. You got Colgate going into the green, Target pulling back a little bit. Walmart's one that I keep an eye out for. Look to see if that kind of recovers to the upside. Brewers, not too bad there. Pretty much it's a lot on these beverages that are keeping things up. KDP is maybe one to see if it starts going back to the upside, but this one's lagged and not really made a move in a long time. Keurig Dr. Pepper, I don't know why. It doesn't get the love, but nowhere near as Coke and Pepsi is. Monster looking not too bad there. And so this looked actually interesting on the daily chart as it's pulled back here. Could pull higher here. This one actually doesn't look too bad at all.
You know, for Keurig Dr. Pepper versus Coke and Pepsi, I think you'd probably have to look into the international exposure as well as the other products that they offer. Coke and Pepsi offer a wide range of snack food products, and I'm just not sure that Keurig has the same exposure.
I actually really like this Monster move. I'm not normally that type of guy to scout, but it looks nice there for like a 57 move right now. And you can see, we'll just watch it. I'm not going to do it, team, because it's not my strategy. But
this market reversal is exactly what I was waiting for. Ads on SQQQ look good at this point. Coming back up here to the top, definitely. Oh, by the way, Jay Rice, excuse me, had mentioned this earlier, saying that JPM is effectively doing a delta from yesterday, right? Reported good earnings, trading higher, and then fading all day. We'll see if this ends up going red here on JPM. Still up about 0.5% here, but this definitely looks like it's fading a little bit here. Entire market is looking weaker here, which is exactly one of the reasons I wanted to do this SQQQ trade. We'll go ahead and show you that chart. We'll see where we end up going here today, but like I said, added on this on the way back down. Now let's come back up. Let's see if we can get this puppy green.
Pepsi, let's go. Looks like I'm going to have to go to the store and get a Pepsi today, man, because look at that. Let's go.
Stick with coffee.
Let's go, Pepsi. Let's go. Get through that 188.50s. Not looking too bad, guys. You guys want to see this on Mumu? Watch this, guys. Look at this. This is why I draw a trade sometimes, team. Look at that draw. Look at that. Look at that draw. Let's go, guys. That's what it's about, guys. And I think that this is very important for new traders to see. Why? Because this is what you want to be seeing, right? And then so at this point, what can I do? I can follow trend at this point and look to see if it can continue climbing higher. One way is the 1 minute off the 9 EMA. You guys can do that. That's easy done with Mumu. You just hit the EMA buttons. You do here get the 10 EMA. So that's that light blue line. And if you go to the 1, you can see that light blue line's right underneath it here. So I'd look for that to kind of hold and continue higher. We'll look to see if Pepsi can keep pushing. And of course, throwing up the Mumu link. That's a Mumu. All right, now that we got into stocks to start coming down, we can start taking a little bit more of SQQQ trades and things like that if you're looking for them. But I don't know if I'm going for that just yet. And I can't blame you for going for it. Now, that is another thing, too. We'll see if NVIDIA bounces here or it gets crushed. I think that's one stock to keep an eye out for. It's already made another lift, right, from the – I remember when I was talking about it at 420s, I was like, man, this thing starts going higher. It's going to push strong. It pushed from 430 up there to a high of 480s. Another 50 points in 2.5 days. This is why you don't want to get in front of these things, Ryan.
Yep,
Imagine
exactly.
if you were short NVIDIA. I mean, dude, you could literally lose a lifetime of money
I don't want
shorting
to lose
Nvidia.
a lifetime of money, Mitch. I'm good.
Yeah, no, and I think
I
that
don't need to
sometimes,
short a freight train. I'm not, look, I've been saying Nvidia's overvalued. It should come back in. And there's a reason I haven't shorted it,
yeah,
because I don't want to get absolutely slammed to
it's
the short side.
important, guys. It's important to think about things like that because let's just be honest. You might think that this is the best opportunity to short a stock ever, but the truth is, it's just like catching a falling knife. It's just the opposite way,
Yeah,
right?
you're catching a knife that someone threw into the air. You better hope that you catch it at the exact right point. Your hand's going to get sliced up.
Yeah,
And
man.
if you drop it and the knife lands in your chest, maybe your heart gets stabbed and you die. Sorry
Yeah,
for the gruesome metaphor, but
and I'm sorry, but if anything, one thing that I have seen, of course, is on longs, when you sometimes get hit on the downside, they're usually not so fast to the downside as stocks go up to the upside sometimes. When stocks
staircase
go,
up, elevator down.
yeah. And I've seen in this market, in bull markets, you get better positive reactions than you actually do get the negative reaction, right? So like even if a stock upsets, it sometimes doesn't get as hit as bad as when a stock comes in with a positive news. Oh, you guys saw what happened to Coinbase yesterday, right? Give it some positive news, see what happens. Pew!
The
But what
sound
could
effect
this,
is too much for me.
but what could coin do today? It could pull back. It could pull back after a huge day. But interesting to see this all the way back after a nice little breakout right out the gates here. It's an interesting risk to reward off of the 106, 3 wicks off the 5 minutes. Normally, I don't trade this, but it looks interesting actually. You see, so at least that's a nice risk to reward, right? Because now I could risk about like this box to make this box, right? And I think that always it's important to understand that, right? What type of risk to reward am I looking at? And I think as traders, let's think about trades like this. This will always help us stay in the risk to reward.
Drug trying to make a move back to its VWAP. We'll see if it can actually go through it here on Drug. Adiba asking me, Ryan, what's your opinion on low float stocks which make huge upside moves like EDTX? Adiba, remember, they also make huge downside moves. Generally speaking, I'm very, very careful with low float. I will often adjust my position to make sure that if we do get one of those gigantic moves against me, that I'm not terribly hurt. I would rather trade things that were liquid, but sometimes the setup is there. I don't primarily trade low float. It's be careful. Be careful. Understand that there's big moves on both sides of the trade.
Pepsi coming back on me, so it doesn't look that good anymore. It went right close to that 188.50s, just didn't get it and turned around on the trend line. So we'll look to see if it kind of comes back through that trend line. Really wanted to hold my entry, not get me back into the red. I do have a stop out placed right below it towards 187.60s. And I'm really close to my entry now at 187.74. Coin coming back, 107.91s. So it's already made at least a point off of that risk that was about 20 cents. So that's not too bad already. Now let's see if it can actually make a move. What do the Qs do? Did they bounce there? Bounce off of slightly below 380.71s. We'll look to see if they do come back up. Nvidia's right off the VWAP. That's one that I'm keeping a close eye on the day to give me a reading. Tesla's actually in the red. Meta is actually in the red also from the open. That doesn't look that good. We'll keep an eye out to see if we get the takedown or not. Today is going to be a very important day. I think especially also towards the close, because as you get deeper into the day, I think you'll have less and less traders and the institutions can easily just smack it. All right, what time is it? It's 10:55, team. We're going to be switching over to all access in just about 5 minutes. So don't go anywhere, team. Like always, let's see what goes on today. It's been one of those battle types of days, and now you actually got the Qs coming right back. So who knows where the market's going to be at the end of today. I can tell you at least that overall, the SPY is still trying to battle and it's trying to make its way back. But there's only one sector in the green from the open. So that doesn't make me feel too positive that this is coming back until I start to see like 3 or 4 sectors go green. Then I can start getting a little bit more positive. right now, it's been a battle on the day.
Paul, take care of yourself. Enjoy your weekend.
Of course, everybody enjoy your weekend if you're already hopping, but stick around. We got all access coming up. All right. How did that kava do? I actually looked to see if I have a kava in the area, and I do have a kava in the area, but it's just not my cup of tea.
I do not. I would try it if I had one, but I do not.
It's trading at 47.20s. We saw restaurants get a decent uplift lately. Domino's Pizza got a nice move, but now it's pulling back on the day. All right, what are you going to do, Q's? You're going to come back down? You're going to make a move to the upside? We're going to battle here? It just seems like we're like in a little bit of some chop now.
All my swings are down today, and I've taken a couple of losses on day trades. Not a good day.
Love comments like this here, and definitely appreciate it there. Mumu is one of the best stock platforms I've ever seen. The CCP did a great job making Mumu. And I think one thing that I think is very important is that all the analytics that we get here, and I really appreciate it, because a lot of analytics sometimes can get you to the point where it can get confusing. I feel like they do really well in graphical representations, right? Like if you look at this analytics table, they do amazing ability at like giving you the financials instead of in a table form. What do they give it to you? They give it to you in a graphical representation. Things like this is going to help traders out understand fundamentals a lot more than you would if it was just a table, right? And so I really like looking at things like that on Pepsi, things like that. You see the financial estimates. You see also how they're actually performing. You got a graph there to tell you it. You can go to EPS. You can look at revenue. You can go to FCF, of course, free cash flow. How is their free cash flow doing? So many important features that could be used from Mumu. It's actually made me learn a lot more about fundamentals, and I've been trying to learn more and getting better at that outlook.
I was gonna say, guys, there's some color from the Bernstein desk of what's been going on the past few weeks and the months to come. Coin is up over 100% since being sued by the SEC. CVNA, which is Carvana, that's up 700% year to date. Rivian is up plus 90% in less than a month. And I didn't even mention Meta up 160% year to date. NVIDIA up 214% year to date. Worth pondering in this world of not free money.
All right, guys, going to look to add to Pepsi at 187.90s. If I do get that add from here on out, it'll be a break-even stop out. But we'll see what happens here if I can get that add on a slight little pullback here in Pepsi and look for the next level higher. Pepsi just seems to kind of make sense for my trade outlook, and now to maybe get the add and get the nice win and celebrate the day just with the Pepsi trade. Really nice trade in Meta today. That's what really gave us the lift. We'll look to see if things come back on the day, but it's been a battle. Healthcare is the area that I do see some green. So if you're looking at healthcare pullbacks right now, those look interesting. Drug manufacturers pulling back here, medical instruments. Intuit Surgical was doing a really well move earlier. Now just recently pulled back to VWAP. I'll show you guys that right here. You guys can see that pull back here to the 350.90s. This doesn't look too bad on the day. Healthcare plans are interesting. Also UNH, ELV, Cigna Group looks interesting off like maybe the 282s, risk 280 there. Humana looking interesting. We'll look to see if these healthcare names can stay strong. Drug manufacturers did make a little bit of an up move today. These have recently been pulling back and been getting hit, so you can keep an eye on it. But overall, technology down. Defensives are coming back, and that's why I'm playing some defensive names. And real estate is coming back. So if you're looking for areas that are coming back, utilities, real estate, you can look at some defensive names, but it's just been pretty weak in a lot of areas today. We'll see if healthcare starts making its way back to the upside. All right. What else is going on out there, team?
I'm going to jump, Mitch. I'm going to get rolling with the rest of my day here. Nick, thanks for joining us this week. Great job by everyone in the chat. I will be back next week.
Of course, we'll be back next week. Like always, guys, Ryan's hopping out of here. Nick, any last comments about the market, my friend?
Enjoy the weekend. Time to get away from all the devices and get outside and just enjoy the weekend.
I like that mention, Nick. You're the type of person that you stick with so much in the news and so much that hearing you say that is really nice, man. I love it. And definitely, at the end of the day, what we need to do is have that balanced approach, right? If we can have that balanced approach, then we can still keep loving the market every single day and push hard to learn more and more. But if we don't have a balanced approach, it really quickly becomes more of that addiction side where we're just lost in the market and you just start getting frustrated because you're trying to just kind of like predict everything, right? Let's just let the market do its work. And we kind of just review the price action here and try to do our best in the trading action. Thank you, Nick, for joining us today and dropping some more of those Nick Brown bombs, baby.
Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure joining.
It's always good to have you, Nick. Have a good one, man. A nice haircut, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
All right, let's go ahead. We're going to wrap it up here. We'll see what happens in healthcare and some stocks out there. Taking to my shot. I'll see what happens there in Pepsi. Now about 187.79. Going to still battle here, but we'll wrap it up here. I'm going to go ahead and bring on AB as we switch over to all access and just coming up in just a second here. Looks like we might be having a little bit some camera issues, so we'll get them on in just a second here. I'm just reviewing my Pepsi trade. Got to be smart here as I am pulling back a little bit. All right, we'll see if this does cut down. I definitely don't want it to see it cut down through that 187.60 area and go to 187.50s. It could bounce right there again, but I'm not going to let it test that. I'll get out if it does cut through the 60s here. Got about 75 shares now. All right, we'll see what else is going on there. Looks like we're having some issues there, so we're just going to have to keep going with live trading. Is that such a negative thing? I don't think so. Let's go. All right, we'll see what else is going on in the market. Ryan and them have left, but I will keep battling here. Pepsi is the stock that I have right there. I'm just keeping an eye on it to see what goes on here. Let me fix that. I put 78, 75. There we go. We'll see if I do get stopped out. I'm pretty close to it. I'm about 10 cents off of it, but if it bounces back up above the VWAP, we'll be looking good. How are the Qs looking? They're right back up, right? Strength in the Qs is what's been affecting the market, and I think this could go right back to the upside. I mean, that's why I said I'm looking at stocks like NVIDIA. Will that just continue strength? Meta, will that come right back to the upside? Tesla is actually a little bit weak, but really quickly, what does it do? Ramps right back up. That's why it's really hard to kind of short this market. Look at the SQQQs. It goes up, it comes right back down. When does it usually go up? In the pre-market, if it does, a lot of the times, and then that's a little bit difficult to get after it. And really quickly, it gets hit right back down. China stocks, I've been waiting to see them kind of get the lift today to see if they're going to push. There's BABA. I can look at maybe like PDD, JD as stocks to maybe look at. JD looks good here for me. JD really hasn't taken off. Recently just had a nice little up gap. Will it make another up move? I'm really keeping a close eye on these China retail names. I think they could push higher. Not a bad looking chart right now. JD, PDD, Baidu, names like that. I think especially if we can get the Qs to keep pushing higher, I think these names can really start to push. BABA's been really strong as of late, and it can get back above 100. It can maybe finally shake out of this bearish area. All right, let's keep going. Let's see what else is going on. Amazon's up about 1.74. And what does that tell me is, damn, I should have played the prime trade. That would have been a really nice prime trade here. So now you're up there to 137. And another thing is, why not have gotten an Amazon below 100 for an investment? That's when I'll always be kicking myself. I actually wanted it underneath 100. I just wasn't thinking about investments during February and March. But man, now thinking back at it, it's like something that I definitely would want to have access to, because let's just be honest, Amazon's one of the best companies in the world. I don't think it's going away anytime soon. And when you get moves like this, where you get a split and it goes underneath it, it definitely gave us an opportunity to get back in it. And Amazon's like Apple. It's in majority of portfolios. So if the market does well, they'll probably continue doing well. Shopify, having another move to 70. This is one that I wanted at 40. I'm always going to be looking back at these and be like, man, those are good opportunities. How those airlines doing? We're still getting a little bit of a pullback. American coming down fast today. DAL coming down fast. So finally getting the pullback there. Even the cruise lines pulling back here. Look at Carnival Cruise Line pulling back. RCL pulling back. These will be opportunities, I feel like. But if you want to maybe look at short side, that might be the opportunity for today. We'll see what happens with this, especially if the market could break down, right? If the Qs break down and the SPY continues to go lower here, which you could have a little bit of a rejection here on the SPY off the 5-minute 450 there. And why? Like I talked about it earlier, all the sectors still remain in the red from the open. Very important. Technology still in the red from the open. Energy still red from the open. Financial services with an ugly turnaround today, still red from the open. And so be careful out there, team, as you are seeing some pullback. All right, but that's going to do it for me. Like always, you guys can stay right here on Benzinga for more. NT, how do you determine what will be a swing trade versus a day trade for yourself? That's going to be determined a lot of the times on daily charts. Daily setups that have a really nice setup, those are the charts that I'd be looking at for like kind of longer term for the upside moves. Like when Meta was right here, like 293, that makes more sense for me to swing for the upside because it's using daily levels versus intraday. Today, you saw me trade Meta to the upside on a day trade. Why? Because it's very extended on the daily levels. The 90 MA is all the way down to 301. Should I be swinging up here? I'd have to hold really close to like that 310 and not the strategy that I recommend, at least for myself. And like always, guys, you guys take this with a grain of salt. Look into it and how you can maybe determine what's better for swing trade and day trade. If you want to learn more about swing trade, catch me later today. Start swing trade, 3 p.m. I'll catch you guys a little later. Now to bring on my man AB as we switch you guys over to All Access. What's up, AB? How we doing?
What up, Money Mitch? How's it going?
Hey, all I know is that we've been killing it lately, man. All the All Access shows that we've been doing, the AI event yesterday, I saw plenty of stocks make a nice little move on that event. I was always kicking myself, man. I've been wanting a piece of Qualcomm and learning from stories. It's what it's all about, right? Because there's so many opportunities out there. And I know that you got another opportunity for us today. So looking forward to hear all about CWD. Let's take a look into it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Money Mitch. I'm going to be joined here in a second by Chris Loeffler, the CEO of Caliber. Like Mitch said, the ticker is CWD, trading on the NASDAQ. And without further ado, let's just go ahead and hop right into it. Let's welcome Chris onto Benzinga's All Access. Chris Loeffler, the CEO of Caliber, again, ticker CWD. Chris, how are you doing this morning? Where are you joining us from?
I'm doing great. Joining you from sunny Scottsdale, Arizona. It's a little warm here today, though.
Wow. Well, you must have got up early then. That means it's what, about 8 a.m. for you over there?
Yeah, I've got young kids, so that's easy for me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they were probably up hours before that.
Yep, absolutely.
Do you play any golf out there in Arizona?
Yeah, sometimes I do. I'm the best guy to play golf with because I'm really bad, even though I love it. And so I'll make you look great on the course.
All right, well, let's do it. Next time I'm out in Arizona, I'll hit you up and we'll have to go get, 9 or 18 in real quick.
Sounds good.
All right, so let's hop into it. Chris, do you mind just giving us a brief overview of Caliber, what it is that you guys do?
Sure. Yeah, we're in the business of building generational wealth for our customers, the communities that we invest in, and the team that invests here. We do that predominantly by investing in real estate, managing real estate, and developing real estate in areas that we know, mostly the Intermountain West. As a 15-year-old business now, Caliber's been recognized as one of the fastest growing companies in the country 7 times in a row on the Inc. 500. And we come today, having come public in May of this year, bringing our story to the market.
So, Chris, why do you guys focus on the middle market? What advantages does this offer to your investors?
Yeah, so if you look at what the space I exist in, we're an alternative asset management firm, which basically means kind of using Charles Schwab as a proxy. If you buy stock in Schwab, you don't own any specific fund or investment that Schwab has created, but you own the revenue associated with all of the investments and strategies on the Schwab platform. And similar to that, when you buy stock in Caliber, you own a portionate share of the revenue that we generate from all the different funds and strategies we create in the alternative investment space, primarily in the real estate private investment space. And so
Got it.
when you look at what's going on in the market, this market is growing significantly. In 2020, there was approximately $10 trillion in global assets under management in alternative investments. In the next 5 years, that's expected to grow to 20 trillion.
Wow.
And the problem is that there's not enough players in smaller assets doing smaller funds. So Caliber creates those smaller funds, invests in those smaller assets, which are still a $25 to $50 million asset and a $250 million fund. But it's essentially a middle market alternative to a larger player like a Blackstone.
Got it. So I imagine with, kind of taking on some of these, bigger name players, the leadership team is going to be important. What type of experience and expertise does Caliber's leadership team have?
Yeah, so I co-founded the company 15 years ago, started coming out of public accounting. And then since then, we've built an incredible team. We've got an executive leadership team that's been working together on average for around 7 years now. Ex-PwC, CFO, fantastic chief development officer who rolled his business into Caliber and created essentially a combined platform. My co-founder is fantastic on the real estate side and the investment side. And then we've got a great board. Bill Gerber on our board is the former CFO of TD Ameritrade. Dan Hansen created one of the best public hotel companies in the country, Summit Hospitality. Many other great parties involved with Caliber.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys are in some good hands there. Chris, I know your Q1 report showed some strong numbers, a 21.5% revenue increase and expanding your assets under management by 30%. What was the major contributing factor to this growth, and do you expect it to continue going forward?
Yeah, I think that's kind of the whole point of our business is a sustainable growth engine. So how does Caliber's value grow? How does our business grow? It starts with raising capital, and that comes from creating investment products and strategies that people are interested in investing into. Everyone wants to get into real estate. Everyone wants to find private deals. Everyone wants to have insider access. That's what we do. So as we do that and we create these different products, people invest in the products, and that grows our assets under management. That grows our revenue, and ultimately that grows our earnings. And so it's all come from organic growth, essentially, of us going out and doing what we do.
That's awesome. I know you recently expanded your internal wholesale team. What is your plan in growing your capital market initiatives?
Yeah, so Caliber started with one investor. We grew to 2, we grew to 5. We now have 2,000 high net worth, ultra high net worth investors, family offices, etc. By adding a wholesale channel, it's essentially like taking our product from being sold at the farmer's market as a specialty product and putting it on the shelf at Whole Foods. And so by doing that, we have an internal team that's selling to investment advisors. And so it creates a B2B model for distribution of our funds where we can get one advisor, they like what we do, they due diligence us, and then they bring that out to hundreds of clients instead of Caliber going direct to the investor themselves.
Got it. So, I mean, and especially I think after COVID, once we had all this big influx of new retail investors, we've really seen this alternative asset class or alternative investment class start to pop up. And you stated that the team, among other things, had a deep understanding of alternative asset products. What do you see as the most promising alternative assets? Where will Caliber's focus go?
Right. So we started this company in late 2008. The first 5 years of the business was all spent buying distressed assets, auction properties, foreclosures, bankruptcies. And buying distressed in my world is a good thing because that means you're buying at a deep discount. You've got a lot of protection, a lot of safety, and there's a lot of upside in those assets. And so for the first time since 2012, I'm now actually talking to banks about properties they're taking back. The change in interest rates has created a catalyst because it changed so fast that many owners of real estate are going to have to give the keys back. Many banks are going to have to find a workout plan. And Caliber is an engine that knows how to find those deals, take advantage of them. And essentially by investing with us, you're investing in the strategy.
Got it. What do you believe to be the biggest change in investing for the retail market over the next 5 years?
Yeah, I think everybody's come to realize that the traditional kind of 60-40 portfolio isn't gonna cut it in the modern world. Everybody wants to access private real estate investments, private lending, venture capital, private equity, different types of alternatives. And if you can create access for more people over a broader scale, especially using technology, that's what Caliber is pretty focused on. And I think that's just a market that is waiting to be captured, highly underserved. A lot of people are looking for it, don't know how to have access, and that's what we do.
Yeah, I mean, it's an incredible time right now for retail investors. I mean, of course, you have the Jobs Act a few years ago that allowed investors to start getting access to some of these more startups and stuff. A lot of things that previously were held, only for institutional investors. So I mean, it's exciting for people like me that are like, oh, I can now go buy a couple shares of this startup, or I can go buy a fraction of this real estate, of this commercial property. So it's an incredible time. I'm going to ask you for a hot take here, Chris. The recent CPI numbers saw many hopeful about the future, inflation falling, all that good stuff. What's your take on the state of the economy? Is a recession in our near future? Are you a bull or bear?
I think you got to be defensive, and I think if you're going to invest defensively, you got to invest in companies and platforms that know how to capture the moment that we're in. We're in a moment where, in some markets, things are still screaming. Arizona is a phenomenal market. Things are screaming here. We have the largest investments across the country in semiconductor, as an example. That's happening in Phoenix right now. There's approximately $80 billion being invested in the city of Phoenix just in the semiconductor industry. So in those markets, you want to take advantage of lack of supply, huge demand, and the need to tackle that. In other markets like San Francisco and New York, you're seeing massive empty office buildings. You're seeing companies give the keys back to the banks, and that's going to affect us across the whole country. So I think you just have to be smart. You have to invest defensively. I don't necessarily know whether we're going to go into a deep recession or not, but I can tell you I know how to take advantage of distressed real estate, and I think that's going to be a very, very good strategy for the next 12 to 24 months.
Yeah, that's interesting. Just kind of some of the things you're mentioning, because, when people look at the market right now, they look at inflation keep falling, you think, oh, everything's great, everything's humming, firing all cylinders. But like you said, some of these banks are now, taking some properties back. And you said this is the first time you've seen this in 11 years. So that sounds, pretty notable.
I mean, I'll give you a simple example. If you bought an apartment complex for $100 million with a $80 million mortgage, in March of 2022, today, that asset is not worth 100 million anymore. It's probably worth 80. That mortgage payment is more than doubled in cost. And so How are you going to get from the bridge loan that you invested with to a takeout financing? The math doesn't work. And when the math doesn't work, that creates opportunity for investors.
Interesting. Yeah. And I'm sure, I think in specific markets, the commercial real estate market, you'll start seeing some of those ripple effects throughout. Well, Chris, this has been a great conversation. I would love to have you back on in the future to talk more about Caliber and what you guys are doing.
Yeah. Awesome. Great to spend the first opportunity with you. And hopefully everyone enjoys the ride with us.
Yeah, there you go. Chris Loeffler, CEO of Caliber. Again, the ticker CWD. Chris, enjoy the rest of your Friday and have a great weekend. Enjoy that sunny weather out there in Arizona.
Take care. Come out and play some golf with me.
I'd love to. Alrighty, guys. That was Chris Loeffler, the CEO of Caliber. We're going to go ahead and get wrapped up here. Like Money Mitch said, he'll be back live in a couple hours doing some swing trading here on the channel. So if you're looking to get that last day trade, last swing trade itching before the market closes for the weekend, make sure to come tune in to Money Mitch later in the day. Thank you to everyone who tuned in to today's All Access. Please smash the like and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. I'll be signing off, but we'll be back next weekend. Next week, not next. Well, I don't know. We'll be around. We'll be back next week with some more great content, so make sure to sub to the channel. Peace and love, y'all. Happy trading.